What's up, y'all? It's your boy Drew Morrissey, Almighty Bass Drew, Drew Belichick, the bronze champion, LeBron James, all my little monikers and little nicknames, and welcome to How to Rap Radio. Something new I thought of, sort of based on the podcast concept. If you don't know what a podcast is, it's basically a free recording of a radio show online. Comes from iTunes, as in iPod. Comes from Apple. Thank you, Steve Jobs, for that. We love you up there. And so basically, I just decided to start doing these. It's a little bit easier than shooting a video in the middle of the street or on my balcony. Got to edit all this shit. There's wind, there's sirens, there's fucking horns. It's just crazy sometimes. So I figured I would make a longer form where I could just sort of express myself. We'll have interviews. You can hear different perspectives, field some questions from y'all, and just give it a little bit more of a conversational feel. This will be quite longer than some of the videos. You know, I plan to kind of extend them so you get a really full, in-depth vision of my opinions on rap and the opinions of the experts that I know, and hopefully at some point some of the rappers that I'm working with. But the main point of this is to have sort of a free-flowing conversation rather than the very specific step-by-step stuff that you would hear in the videos. But of course, the videos are still here. Of course, website's still up. Of course, the exclusive class is still crushing it. Of course, we just world takeover, world domination. You know how to rap. We're changing the game here. So, you know, that's kind of where we're going with this. And the last thing I'll say is that one of the main goals of this is going to be to discuss things in the news, things in the rap news, and the sort of how to rap perspective on it. And just like a radio show, we'll be talking a little bit about different stories, what's going on in rap, maybe some opinions, although, you know, I don't like to shoot too many opinions at you because I don't want to affect or seem biased in any way. The main point of this is not for my opinion to affect your success. This is a company about getting you from point A to point B, not for Drew to talk about if he likes, you know, this album better than that album and da-da-da. You know, you can go to radio shows or forums for that shit. This is an actual rap education, rap development company. So what first and foremost is learning, not opinions, not subjectivity, all that shit. So with that being said, let's start with a nice little news story. As you might have heard, EMINEM has released a new version of Lose Yourself. It was apparently either the first version or a second version. I haven't really researched it too much, but I did listen to it, as you should as well. It is obviously similar in the sense the beat is the same, the chorus is basically the same. He changes a couple things, but the lyrics are very different. So let's talk a little bit about this. Again, just to give an overview, the chorus is pretty much the same, except obviously it's not mixed as well. And at the end, he says, tomorrow's ask and wait, or something like that, rather than this opportunity comes once in a lifetime. So that's changed. There are two verses which are completely different. However, the flow is the same for the most part. And you can hear my computer turning on over there. Lovely sound. It's the sound of connectivity to you, the world, the globe. So yeah, the verses, what's interesting to me about the verses is that the flow is pretty much the exact same. And it's definitely the EMINEM 2000 flow. Like when I was listening to it, I was like, yeah, he's rapping like he did back then. It's obviously he didn't write the song now, because if he wrote it with his modern flow, he would have been like, lose yourself or lose yourself. Lose yourself. You know what I mean? Like if you've heard the Shady 15 album that just got leaked, I think it's coming out this week. That has some interesting flows on there, and I really think I'm willing to put myself out there and say that this dude is an absolute genius of the highest order. You know, when I look back at rap so far, if you were to use the word genius, there are only a few people that I would put in that category. You know, I would put Eminem for technical skill. I'd put Kanye West for vision, beat making, and perhaps cultural impact, sort of artistry. I put Jay-Z for just overall rapping, but mainly for business. I think he's a business genius, to come from Marcy Projects and then to be $500 million, if not more. I don't know what the last stats are, but Nets is looking nice. There's probably a couple other I can't think off the top of my head, but rap only has had a few true geniuses. Our Mozarts, our Beethovens, and Eminem has got to be one of them. And at this point, it's almost like he's just having too much fun with it. Like, I know he's in his 40s or whatever, but it's like, dog, let us catch up a little bit. I know that a lot of the younger MCs are just younger rappers, the Kendricks, the Drakes. I know they're like, God damn, I'm dropping classics, and this 40-year-old man is rapping circles around. I mean, if you saw that Shady 15 cipher, I mean, this kid was, he said $sign or whatever. Like, I was just like, oh, man. With that being said, Royce is extremely good, too. I'm definitely a supporter of Royce the 5'9", and he killed that, too. And with that in mind, since this is a free-flowing conversation here at How to Rap Radio, I think that the people like Eminem, people like Slaughterhouse are a great example of rap getting older, but the hunger still staying there. I would also add Busta into that. If you look at the song Calm Down, which I have a video on, go check it out, Busta and Eminem, you can just tell they're still hungry to kill it. And if you listen to Busta's interview on Sway's Universe, shout out to Sway. He follows me on Instagram, which was really good for my ego when we first started. I would like to say I'm a citizen. I'm sure he would probably say that too. See, even the rap coach is a fan of somebody. But you watch Busta's interview on Sway, he talks about how they went back and forth. They had an original version of Calm Down, and then Eminem sent a track over, and he was murdering it. And Busta's like, damn, I can't let him catch me up like that. So he did a new version. Eminem's like, oh, Busta, you gonna take it back on me? All right, I'm gonna do a new. And they went back to like 4 different versions of this one song. So, it just shows that although a certain generation of rappers are getting quote unquote older, they're still hungry. And that's a really good sign for folks like you and me who are still young, in our 20s, maybe in our teens, and we, how far is this going to go? This is the first time that rap is really aging. Now, of course, there's a couple generations of hip-hop technically before the modern generation. So you have the first generation was like the Africa Bambatas and Sugar Hill Gang and all that. And those guys are in their, 40s and, well, they're in their 50s now. Maybe even their 60s. I don't even know. But that's one. But, of course, they weren't exactly what we would consider like real rappers at this point. And that's no disrespect to them. I just mean and I think they would admit that they were part of a larger movement. They were the DJs, they were the breakers, they were the graffiti artists, they rapped, you know what I'm saying? So they were a little bit a larger component of art, of hip-hop art, rather than just MCs. Then you have the 80s generation, and those guys are in like their 50s as well. The Run DMCs, R.I.P. Jam Master Jay, the Rakims, like all these guys, they're a little bit older too. And they were the first incarnation of real rapper, MC, just rapper. MC means move the crowd. That's Rakim. They're older, but their generation, for whatever reason, is not as active still as far as in the mainstream. And I think that may be because rap hadn't become a business conglomerate, big, extra huge, thing just yet. And nobody had really become a mogul at that time. So no matter how much skill Kool G Rap or Big Daddy Kane or Rakim has, and they have a lot of skill, I still listen to them motherfuckers. And I was born in their era, so it wasn't like I grew up listening to them necessarily. But no matter how much skill they have, they weren't exactly moguls. They weren't exactly business guys. So, by now, 20 years later, 30 years later, they're not reaping the benefits in the mainstream consciousness of having that household name for rap and business the way that the next generation did. And the next generation, of course, being the Jay-Z's and the Nas's and the EMINEM, sort of my people. Now, you could put in the middle between those two the switch to gangster rap, so that would be the Ice-T's, the Ice Cubes, the NWA's, all that stuff, all that West Coast stuff. And then on the East Coast, the Wu-Tangs of the world and that. And those guys, as far as, well, obviously, that generation has the biggest business success in rap history with Dr. Dre. That was kind of that was an outlier. You know, the headphones kind of, you know, if you had said 15 years ago, who's going to be the first rap billionaire? And somebody said, Dr. Dre, you'd be like, what? I mean, he's more like a musician, you know, he's really like a producer. But, you know, so I don't consider that necessarily a sign of the massive expansion of business. But those headphones are awesome, and I do own a couple of pairs. And they're so good, in fact, that I broke in one pair and had to buy another one. But anyway, but yeah, really, it wasn't until around Diddy that, at the time he was Puff Daddy. It wasn't really until around Diddy that rap as this sort of business conglomerate mixture of rap plus hundreds of millions of dollars really became viable. At least as far as my memory goes. I'm sure there's a couple exceptions to the rule, but as a general point, I mean, Sean Combs really showed us the extent you could take being somewhat of a rapper and a lot of a businessman. You know, the Sean John success story. You know, obviously the artists that he's worked with. On and on to the cologne, on and on to finally, you know, alcohol, and he's obviously got Ciroc and all that, and every black person in America drinks fucking Ciroc. As my homeboy Austin Hall, who's an up-and-coming comedian, and please go follow him at Austin Hall Comedy on Instagram. As he likes to say, you know, he's like, motherfuckers be attacking Ciroc like it's a natural resource in the club, like it's water in Afghanistan, you know what I mean? Goddamn. But yeah, Diddy is a perfect example of the expansion there. Then when Jay came in, and once Rockefeller was a really big success, that's when he turned into that kind of guy. And then 50 Cent is probably the best example of like 0 to 100 as far as just a rapper completely turns into a multi-bajillionaire in like a 5-year span. Now, the funny thing about this is that everybody thinks that they can do that now. So, you know, check yourself before you wreck yourself. You know, business is a very hard thing. A lot of these guys were fortunate to be in a position. For example, Jay-Z was already one of the dopest fucking rappers alive before Rockaware really became an entity. So don't think just because you're going to make all this money just because because you think you can. You know, you got to have a lane. 50 Cent had one of the most successful rap albums of the last decade and was supported by the biggest two fucking rappers, or the biggest producer and the biggest rapper, you know, of the last whatever years. So, you know, it's not as simple, you know, and you need to really sort of open your mind. But that was sort of a complete random tangent from Eminem. But what I wanted to say about Lose Yourself is, okay, so this guy is already at the height of his success when he writes this stuff. He's starting this movie called 8 Mile about his life. This is around 2001, 2002. The movie's released in 2002, but I assume he was working on it in 2001. He's already released the Marshall Mathers LP, which basically went diamond, almost went diamond. And in fact, if you listen to D12, Devil's Night, Eminem says, you know, my record's almost diamond, bitch. His first album went triple platinum. He is a household name at this point. He's under controversy. And he still has enough passion and work ethic to create a song, the theme song for his upcoming movie about his life. He does it, doesn't like it, and redoes the whole fucking thing. And basically with the same flow, which is actually, to me, harder to keep your same flow, and write new lyrics because your brain is already kind of grooved into that. Just my experience as an MC is I'd almost rather write a new flow if I don't like it. So he does all of that and then releases the new song, and it becomes one of the biggest songs of all time. An Oscar-winning song, no less. And, called by some to be the greatest rap song of all time. I don't know if I'll go that far, but I can see why, as far as a global scale, that song is one of the best rap songs ever for people to relate to it no matter where you're from. Whether you're from the hood, whether you're from fucking Sri Lanka, whether you're from Tokyo, whether you're from Serbia, whether you're from Moscow. It don't matter. You get what it feels like. You got one shot. Lose yourself in that shit. So that's really powerful what he did. Now, what does this say to you? And I already sound frustrated even saying, okay, I know a lot of rappers who want to be rappers who won't even finish their first version of the song. You know what I mean? Like if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm only on verse 2 and it's been 3 days. Like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Think about this. For real. Yo, it's like, dog, this motherfucker Eminem almost went diamond and he has enough passion and dedication to rewrite a song and you can't even write one. Get out of here. Go back to UPS. Go to your day job. Yo, this is not for you. If you're inspired by Eminem, if you're inspired by these MCs, like if there's one thing you can learn from this release, Lose Yourself, is the dedication needed and the passion that must be exerted. You got to dig deep, yo. You got to dig deep. You got to think, do I really want this? Do I really want to be on that stage or am I scared? Do I really want to rap in front of that girl and look cool or am I too scared? What's going to win, your fear or your love? It's a choice. It's a choice. Are you sufficiently scared to stop you from your own dreams? So you're not going to finish that song or rewrite that song because it ain't hitting it? Or is your love stronger than your fear? That's what you got to ask yourself. You got to lose yourself in the moment. No, I'm kidding. All right, that's too far. Getting on my little rant swag. But you know what I mean? All jokes aside, obviously I don't literally mean fuck you. I'm not, whoever you are listening, I love you. Drew supports you. You got to understand, Drew love the kids. Game ball for anyone who knows that reference. It's a rap reference. But the point is, you got to look at what Eminem's done recently and what Eminem's done with this song and understand the amount of dedication and hard work and passion this guy must have. He is so wildly famous and so wildly respected. You're the only white rapper that across the board, every single race is like, yeah, that motherfucker's tight. I give him props because, there's no reason black people should like any white rapper. This is our shit, right? This is our corner. This is rap, motherfucker. This is us. But he's so good that he's able to just cut that noise out. But, he's still hungry at 40. And he's still trying new things. And that song, the Lose Yourself track, he was probably 30 at the time. I believe he was born in 72. So that came out about 2002. What does that say? What does that say? If you're a fan of Eminem, you're a fan of passion for the rap, you're a fan of hard work. You're a fan of trying new things, the artistry. It takes an artist to rewrite a song. And attempt number 2 won the motherfucker an Oscar. So if there's any reason to consider rewriting your fucking tracks, it's that this motherfucker Eminem rewrote a song and the motherfucker won an Oscar. The nigga been in 3 movies, and he won a fucking Oscar. So, that's worth considering as we think about, what you can do and how far you can take it and how long you can take it. Because I never thought I'd see a day when almost any rapper would still be performing at a high level at 40. And one of the advantages of music and rap is that it's not like basketball or football where the reason, Peyton Manning is starting to come to the end of his run or whatever is just because of his body. You know what I mean? It's not because of anything else, So It's not like sports where you age, in that way. You age maybe mentally in rap or something, or maybe you just do other shit. That's why I think a lot of the older rappers fall off. But you certainly can keep your hunger up if you know how to do that. And Eminem's a perfect example of that. So, what have we talked about today? What have we perused around the world? And, this is the first episode of How to Rap Radio. If you get this far, I love you long time. Tell me if you think this is a format you enjoy. As you can probably hear, it's a little bit more free-flowing. I'm literally just sitting in my room staring at a wall as I ramble. There's no notes. If you have any questions or topics you want me to talk about or us to talk about when we start getting other people into this whole thing, let me know. But what have we talked about today? Talked about Eminem's new release, Lose Yourself, the alternate version, the rough draft, the demo, if you will. We talked about how it was particularly impressive because keeping the same flow and making new lyrics is tough. We talked a little bit about maintaining your hunger over the years. The example of Busta Rhymes and Eminem on Calm Down, which is a pretty good song, and you should check it out. We kind of went on a tangent there, talking about sort of the basic history of rappers and rap as a business and who are the big names. If you're not that familiar with this, you might want to study the people that I was mentioning. Sort of, if you go back to the 70s, Africa Bambaataa, the Sugar Hill Gang, two of the first major, one is a group and one is Africa Bambaataa MC. Then we moved on to the 80s, and you get the Run DMCs. You look these people up, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim. These are all like the main, Cool G Rap. These are all the main huge names in rap in the beginning. And these are people that you should at least be familiar with. Talked about the NWA and the West Coast thing. Talked about Diddy and how Diddy is an extremely, or Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, is one of the most important people to understand his life story in order to understand rap and rap business. Not because he's an ill spitter and he spits hot fire like Dylan, to reference a show he was involved in. Not saying he tight on the mic. I'm saying he is an extremely important part of the way that rap played out. You know what I mean? Steve Jobs didn't found the computer, but computers would not be the way they are without Steve Jobs. Rap business, P. Diddy wasn't the first businessman in rap, but rap business would not be the way it was without Sean Combs. So, really look him up. And then lastly, we talked about Eminem and the sort of, God, if that 30-year-old motherfucker and now 40-year-old motherfucker can be grinding the way that he is and rewriting songs that win Oscars, your ass can finish a track. Your ass can post a song. Your ass can write a few more bars. No excuses, man. No excuses. He inspired me with this shit. I was just like, damn, how the fuck? I've been rapping for 13 years and I'm infinitely impressed that he was able to do that. He is, of course, an unparalleled genius, and we also talked about geniuses in rap. But even then, he's an inspiration. He's the genius voice of a generation. That's a South Park reference. Kanye West, gay fish, yes. By the way, I'm not saying Kanye's a gay fish. It's just a funny episode because if I ever become pretty successful in this thing, I don't want to beef with Kanye. You're one of my idols, man. I'm trying to work with you, brother. I'm just saying it was a funny episode, okay? We cool? We cool? Can I get a beat? Can I get a drop? Anyway, I'm wilding out. This is Drew Morrissey. You've just enjoyed the first episode of How to Rap Radio. Hopefully you enjoy this. Field some questions if you like. Probably will put this on my SoundCloud too. Start a SoundCloud so y'all niggas can just listen to this stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, if you don't like the fact that I use the N-word, sorry, it's part of the way I am. I don't know, this is rap. That's who I am. Maybe I'll change it someday, but hey, you messing with me, you messing with the way I talk. If you listen to rap, you'll get over it. Anyway, peace and love. I hope all is well with you this weekend, and happy Thanksgiving if you're American. I guess if you're Native American, then fuck Thanksgiving. Peace.